Well, Benji, this is you and I today, man.
Yeah,
Welcome
man.
in to another episode. So
It's gonna be fun. We kind of got a twisted turn. You know, we for our listeners out there, we had actually recorded an episode that was going to be episode 26. We've had some things this summer we're working on, and we decided that when you hear episode 26, it's actually episode 27. And here's the reason why. We're throwing a curveball today. We're going to talk about some best of the best, some things we've been doing behind the scenes that most people don't get to see. So kind of roll back the curtain a little bit and throw out there what we've kind of been working on, and you know what might be behind what every business owner would really want to hear, or manager would want to hear, struggles and opportunities and things like that. So we're going to do that today. It'll be kind of fun.
yeah, it'll be good. You know, we've got, like you said, there's just been a lot going on. Summer's crazy. I mean, you guys just came out of a huge season of storm. I mean, it feels like it was just yesterday, just because of the aftermath, but it wasn't. It was, we're looking back in early March?
Yeah.
Late March, somewhere around there. Y'all had some storms, and you guys had a great opportunity to do some stuff out in Kentucky. There was I know most people probably know from everything they saw on the news, but it was a lot of heavily affected areas in Kentucky with some storms, and it wasn't as much like tornado damage. It was like hard flooding.
A lot of flooding. And we had the opportunity to partner with another team on what probably is the most iconic whiskey bourbon factory in America, maybe even the world, some would say. But Buffalo Trace, it was all over national news. And we had the opportunity to partner with a fantastic team in Kentucky that just really, they have a local presence there. They've been doing a great job of promoting themselves over the years. They do great business. But we partnered with them, and there was many buildings affected, as you said, from the flooding.
Lots.
Think about mud as it comes in. We call it, we have to muck out. You got to clean up the mud. You got to get the facility sanitized and all that. The problem is they had so many warehouses. They call them, they're rick houses, right, where they actually store the bourbon and the whiskey. And it as you know, it ages, right? It's got to age over time, and that's people buy that whiskey. I don't drink, so I mean, I know kind of how it works or whatever. But so it stores over time, and honestly, they really needed our help, and we were able to help them. And if you go to our LinkedIn page, Adam can give us some more details on that. But you can go to Surf Pro Team Wilson. You can look at Higher Up Podcast. We'll share it on there as well. But anyway, you'll see kind of what that job was entailed and what it took to do that. But it was a great opportunity to help them get back into business, is what they wanted, because business interruption is a big deal in the commercial space.
Yeah, and I mean that's a huge part, and honestly, that's kind of some of the things that we've done. We had everything laid out. We've already got a handful of episodes planned for the season, and so just like Benji said, life throws a curveball, and at the end of the day, we do the podcast to share what Benji and Brady do and how that can be applied to you and your business, or whether you're a business owner or an employee. But man, at the end of the day, they're business owners first, and you gotta handle those things. So
yeah, and by the way, we did tell you today was about curveballs. I'm going to throw Adam a curveball here. He may have to make a note, but if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to do our best to see if we can get this video footage that we were just talking about on the social platforms. We may try to put that over as we're talking through about this specific project, just so you can kind of see some behind the scenes that most people don't get to see. So there's the first curveball today, Adam.
We'll make it work. But we're so Benji and I were talking like, hey, let's do something. I don't want we talked about, hey, the new season comes out on June 2nd. We don't want to put one and then have to take a few weeks before another one. We don't want to lose that momentum. So we're like, hey, let's jump in and just kind of share some things that we're going to be doing in season 3, some of the turns that we're going to be taking, and really what we're going to dive into. And one of the themes that Benji and I were talking about is just really peeling back the curtains and sharing what you guys do. And I was relating this to me and just my role as a creative director. I mean, I've shared a little bit. My background obviously is very heavy on video, photography, editing, graphic design, digital marketing. I dabble in some website design and things, and so there's a lot of that we do. But I think a lot of times, and this is how it got brought up, is I said, a lot of times I think people feel like you're a machine, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're a creator, knock it out. And yes, I mean, at the end of the day, that is my job. That's my role, is to create these things. But also there's a process to it. And that's how it kind of got brought up. I was like, I really feel like we've got to find a way to share with our listeners
Mm-hmm.
what it's like to be both ownership and employee. For you and Brady to share that, and I can share what it's like from employee. But I said I feel like sometimes I never feel like I'm taking like granted of, whether it's with Serpro, my clients, what I do with the church. I feel like everything is very well respected. I just think sometimes people don't understand the process or the time it takes. For instance, we just finished working on a huge project. And I am my own worst critic. I hate it. I was like, I wish there's so much more we could have
I
done.
think we all are.
Yeah. And so we just finished working on a huge project for our kids ministry. We got Kids Week coming up in July. But they actually go to a camp in Springville and teach that same course. They get asked to teach, and it's a big honor. So we had to have this stuff ready a month early.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we went out, and it was just kind of cool. We filmed for an entire day with our student team. They were actors in it, but it was just awesome to create all of our own content, have all of our own pieces. But man, getting to the editing table, it took time.
Oh, I
And it
bet.
took me. We have 5 videos. They start at 8 minutes, and then they get shorter and shorter to the last one's like 3 or 4 minutes. So they
Yeah.
get shorter as they go. So it's 2 videos a night. It's a 3-night thing. But that's what really prompted this conversation with Benji. I was like, I think sometimes people don't understand the process it takes to get to it. They see the final product, and they're
Right.
like, oh man, that's awesome. And they don't realize that I've been working on it for 2 solid weeks. And my creative brain is like, I'm fried. I'm fried.
Yeah.
And so, but that's what I want to do for you, Benji. And what I want to talk about and we'll get into some of the topics we're going to cover this year. But what are some things for you as an owner? I mean, you handle a very large company. You guys have 200 plus employees. Technically you have 3 franchises, but 5 locations. 'Cause you have
Right.
2 So what are some things that you see as an owner that you wish sometimes, you always hear owners doing this and owners doing that and changes, but what are some things that you feel like you wish people saw the behind the scenes, whether
Yeah.
it's goes on with your family, whether it's you, whether it's the hard decisions that you guys have to make. So I'm going to throw a curveball at you and say, what are some
Yeah.
things that you feel like you're like, hey, this is just as an ownership, these are some things that people don't see that it does affect daily life.
Yeah. Well, I think before we go there, one of the things when we first started talking about this podcast, Higher Up Podcast, I don't know, it was 2 years ago. And the goal was to get the message out that, that Jesus is the center of everything that we do, why we do what we do. It is the why. There's no question about it. If you could put the term, why, WHY, all caps in front of you, this is why we do what we do. Because you're going to go through obstacles as a business, as whatever the business may be. It doesn't matter if it's, professional, spiritual, or your what I mean by that is church. You're going to go through seasons in life, and you have to weather the storm. Literally, you have to weather the storm to be able to go to the next level. But here's the why. Adam, and I was thinking about this when we were getting ready to do this episode. Again, this episode is completely off the cuff, as Adam mentioned earlier.
It's off the rails.
Anything's on the table. So I actually just had something come to mind I'm going to share in a second. But we are currently, Adam, I remember we did the first 10 episodes, and we thought, what in the world are we doing? Like, we are... we have an hour per episode. What can we do to make this better? And then we just took a hiatus. And truth be told, I'll tell you guys, the listeners, why we took a hiatus. we took a hiatus because yours truly went through a season of depression, and I specifically was just, I wasn't burned out. I was just disappointed in a lot of things that were going on in the professional space, not family space. My family is the number one thing besides Jesus. My family is next in line to everything that we do and why we do it. And depression's a real thing out there. And I think that it needs to be known that you are going to go through struggles in life. Now, I will say this, not one time did I ever have any kind of suicidal thoughts, nothing like that. It was not that level. But I had to make a decision January 1 of 2025 to say, I woke up in January 1 of 2025 and I'm like, I am not doing this anymore. Like the enemy, you don't have any control over my life. The Lord, you have control over my life. I have a choice to make every single day. We've talked about it a lot, control what you can control, and that's all you can control. It's up to the Lord from there. So we have to rely on him for everything that we do and the reason why we do it. And that's the WHY behind the story. So yeah, as a business owner, we go through seasons, and I'll be honest with you, after episode 10, when we took the hiatus, we were putting the podcast on hold. Adam kept telling me, when we going to get going again? When we going to get going again? When we going to get going again? And I was just like, man, Adam, we need some kind of life behind it. He didn't really know what I was going through because I didn't really share it with a lot of people. He kind of had a suspicion, I'm sure. But there was a lady who reached out, and she, for those listeners that do know, we own a business called ServPro. We're an independently owned and operated franchise, as we've mentioned many, many times. But she reached out on our Higher Up podcast Instagram and wrote one of the longest, I'm going to call it a DM for you young listeners out there, direct messages to us. And she said, I just listened to all 10 episodes. Now, Adam, where she came up with 10 hours, I don't know. But
I mean, it was probably because it was right after our Nashville convention.
It was.
And her and her husband were just looking. They were driving. I forgot where they're from. I think you actually work with them on some things now. But they had about 10 hours or so of driving to Nashville for convention. And she said that she was looking up restoration, and lo and behold, Higher Up podcast came up. And
you're right. You're right. By the way, it was January 1, 2024 when the light bulb hit, not 2025. I apologize. Yeah. Everything kind of runs together, but no, you're right. That's exactly what it was. She said, I listened to all 10 episodes. She said, I wept like a baby. She said, I don't understand. I see that you guys haven't had an episode for a long period of time. And why would you guys not put your message out there? Her name is Jody Lester, from North Carolina. And Jody, we owe it to you. Thank you that we got this back up and going. But we do this. The why behind what we do is for you listeners. And we want to share a message. And Adam, just a couple quick tips. We have just surpassed our 7,700th download of all episodes. I think we have actually 25 episodes published. We've got several in the works behind the scenes right now.
Yep.
But this was what was interesting to me. We are we're across the world now, which is really, really eye-opening. 88 countries that we're in. We are in a total of 1,354 cities. So the why behind what we do is because you enjoy listening to this. And we have a message to tell. We believe that, as Adam mentioned, everything that we do in business, there are people struggling out there every single day, us included. So don't think that we're not. We don't have this all figured out. As you grow your business or your opportunity, it may not be even you owning a business. As you grow your career, you may be, as Adam said, an employee trying to grow your career. You're going to come up with obstacles along the way. It's going to happen. And it all boils down to how you react, how you respond, and honestly, what is it going to do to help take your family to the next level? Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say this. What's been going on with us the last couple of months? In business, we probably had one of the worst first quarters that we've ever had in our history, besides 2005, I remember. Yeah. And we looked up, and I was talking to other business owners, not just in what we do on a day-to-day basis, but restaurant business, churches, Schools were going through things. It didn't matter what business field I talked to. It seemed like people were struggling. And, I use school, but there's a lot of bullying going on, as we know, a lot of bullying still to this day. So I say that because we've dealt with some of that stuff. But anyway, from a business and management and leadership perspective, you're going to go through things, and it's how you respond. I'm going to get up, I'm going to get out of bed every single day, and I'm going to do what I can to make the best day possible. And I'm going to lead my team. If you're a team lead out there, I'm going to lead my team. We got an episode coming up talking about the 5 greatest qualities of a coach coming up. It's really fun to talk through. But that's really what we've been dealing with. And the Lord's timing is everything. And sometimes I think that He does allow us to go through trials to see how we're going to respond, even if we are a Christian, right?
Yeah.
I do believe that happens. And so for those that are out there listening, I want to encourage you. Keep getting up every single day. Mm-hmm. Keep putting the best foot forward you possibly can. Because at the end of the day, it's about the one soul that doesn't know the Lord. The reason we do what we do, yeah, we have fun. We talk about this, we talk about that. But at the end of the day, it's all about what drives people to Jesus. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. It's important. I've always been told it's not how you fall down, it's how you get back up. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, you and I were talking a little bit the other day, and just, I don't feel like we were playing one up, but we're just like sharing it's the struggles of the season. And I was sharing with you, I mean, that's how we are, is that I was sharing that back in November, we had a water damage in our house.
Yeah.
And we handled it ourselves. We didn't want to file a claim, but it cost us about $4,000 to do the work. And then, I told you, I was like, I'm only in like my second year of really having full entrepreneurship of my own business.
Yeah.
Owing a little bit more in taxes than we had anticipated. So that was a hit.
Yeah.
So we're
for sure
doing better with it this year, to try and keep from that, to be more prepared. So we had that happen. And then we had some more water damage in our house. Luckily figured out that our water pressure was at 85. So I'm hoping that fixes the issue. But then I think we had a fourth one. And this one caused way more damage to the wood floors in our house. So we're having to eventually have that put up. Luckily, our insurance has been great. We chose Serpro, so to kind of help through all that. Yeah. So, and then I think in the same week that happened, our HVAC went out. That cost us a couple $1,000. And then the same day the HVAC went out, I remember calling Emily on the way home. And her tire blew on the way home. Oh, and
new tires. Here we go.
We just had to get new. I told her, I said, babe, you drive, because she works downtown. I was like, you drive downtown. Let's just get it done. Like, I don't want to, because they were like, hey, I think you could buy like one tire. I was like, I'm not getting on this weird cycle. I was like, let's just suck it up. Let's just do it. Between having the business and other thing, God's been good to us. But I remember when it happened, Emily's not an emotional person. She's not at all. Like, I am the emotional one in the relationship. And I remember being in the car and she started crying, and then she started laughing. And it was like, it's like,
sometimes you have to do that.
I mean, it was like, how much worse can it get? And I just remember how crazy all that was. But all that to say, I mean, that's all we can do is just, I mean, she and I handle it together. But which is really funny is we had gotten a bonus from work the day before that got completely used.
Oh, wow.
HVAC.
Yeah.
But
hey, it was his timing. He provided.
What was really funny is, of course, I've heard it 2 or 3 times. People are like, hey, God's timing, like he provided. I want to be like, that money was supposed to go to something else. Okay. I hear what you're saying, but the human side of me wants
I get it.
Hey, just give me a minute to wallow in my despair.
I get it.
But I think all that's important to say is that's where I think we are as a season. I think, I remember, Pastor Jeremy called me the day after, and, he had heard, because his wife is my, supervisor. So she's our creative pastor. And he had called me and he was like, hey man. And I was like, what's up? He's like, so somebody tells me when it rains, it pours. When it pours, it floods. When it floods, you don't have a boat. And when you don't have a boat, you're about to drown.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's 100% how I
Great
feel.
analogy.
But what it is too, and you're just talking about the message. She shared something with me, and he was like, "Have you really dealt with a lot of this kind of stuff before?" I was like, "No." I was like, "It's just crazy. Like, I don't want y'all to think like we're this problematic family that just came on board to the
Yeah,
church."
yeah.
And and he brought up a great point. He said, "Adam, you changed careers from what you were doing to working full time for a church." And he was like, "The enemy don't like it."
That's
He
right.
said, "The enemy doesn't like it at all." And he said, "You've been instrumental in helping us do things that we've been wanting to do for a while." And he was like, "Again, enemy ain't happy about that."
That's
And he
right.
was like, "On top of all this, you're helping us with a huge campaign, which is something we've never done at the church. We're doing what's called making room for more. We have 3 buildings. It's a very weird setup for our church, but we have 3 buildings. We're trying to combine buildings 1 and 2 together,
Yeah.
and it will amplify what we can do." And he was like, "Again, the enemy doesn't like it."
You don't
And he
like
was
it.
like, he said, "I hate to say all that to you, other than the fact to know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, or other words, you wouldn't be dealing with what you're supposed to be dealing with." So he was
Yeah.
like, so I say that for anybody else that's walking through it. That was something that was to me. I remember calling Emily and saying, "Hey, he made this point," and I was like, "I can't argue with Pastor." Like, I was like, I mean, he's right. We're doing this. We're involved. We're doing things. We're trying to help change lives. We're trying to grow. We're doing a lot online,
Yeah.
trying to reach people more. And I was like, and I feel like we're being successful at that. Um, and so I was like, the enemy just doesn't like it. And so it's all going to be about how can he knock us off our game, or do we just keep getting back up and dealing
You know,
with it? So,
it's very interesting that, I think that the world itself is in the same boat, for many years. And I've seen this happen several times. We're just getting beat up by the enemy, beat up by the enemy, beat up by the enemy. And then you look up this year and you have on American Idol, probably the best, they call it it's a competition at the end of the day. No one will convince me they don't know who's going to win the show at the end of the year. All right. They say it's the fan votes. Maybe so. We'll see. But this year, man, those contestants were like, they were having worship sessions, not just in it, like live behind the scenes. They were all worshiping together. Then you have Brandon Lake, Brandon Lake goes to American Idol. He's the current Chris Tomlin of the world in the Christian space right now.
yeah.
And Brandon is on American Idol with Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll, who is up and coming country guy. He's been through a ton. His story is fantastic of redemption. And they have this song called Hard Fought Hallelujah that if you haven't heard it, I encourage you to go listen to it. It's exactly what we've been talking about today. You're going to go through seasons in life, and you're going to go through literal hell sometimes.
Yeah.
But Jesus is bigger than that, and he conquered death on the cross, and he's the greatest miracle of all time. He didn't just die; he rose again, and it's been witnessed by many, many, many people back in the day, and the story is still told today, and it's our job to go tell the story to other people. But you just see these things, these radical movements of the Lord taking place all across the world right now. And I think the Lord just sits back sometimes. He goes, guys, at the end of the day, I got this. And it's sometimes as a human, you're right, Adam, as a human, it's hard to go, oh, I got faith in you. I trust you. I got faith in you. I trust you. I'm going through this. Can I please get out? Like, get me out of the water. I don't want to drown. So it's really interesting.
I think you're seeing that dynamic shift. I mean,
for sure.
You're just talking about music. I mean, we took Addison, our oldest, to her first concert, which was the Forrest Frank concert, and he's just taken over.
Fantastic.
And it was like a fantastic artist, but like show was phenomenal. By the way, absolutely phenomenal. He is an entertainer. But I mean, even some of his own music now has just taken over, not just the Christian space, but the regular stuff. I mean, his dance right now for his song, his music is like, it's all over the place.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're doing it. And I mean, what's
it's
crazy
TikTok famous, isn't it?
It is, but I feel like you're seeing so much faith in things that are, I want to say, popular.
Yeah.
and big, like look at the Savannah Bananas.
Oh
They
man.
have a handful of guys that are constantly preaching the word and using their platform
Yep.
to share those things. And so that's just one example of stuff that you're seeing is
Yeah.
that it's just all over. And I think Pastor Jeremy shared a few weeks ago on graduation Sunday.
Yep.
He was talking about that there was some statistics out that showed that this generation of graduates, I mean, think about it. These graduates that are graduating now have never known what life is like without social media. They've
Oh yeah,
never
for sure.
known.
That's right. I hadn't thought about that. That's right.
They've never known that. They've grown like they're one of the first generations that have fully grown up with it. I mean, we're in that place. Like Addison is like, Dad. I mean, kids talk about it. She's like, Dad, when can I have it? And I'm like, let's hold on a second. Their favorite thing is they like to sit and watch they like to watch cake baking videos, which I don't get.
Oh yeah.
So, but he was just talking about that, and he said that they're more hungry for the gospel than any other generation before that. And I think a lot of that is because of the influence that people have, which is, again, this is a platform we have. This is why we're trying to use it. And even if our influence is only, a couple thousand or, a couple hundred followers on Instagram and TikTok, whatever that is, it's still a small amount, because somebody was just talking to me yesterday about well, our video only has like a couple hundred views. And I'm like, but imagine if all 100 of those people wanted to be in the same room at the same time,
Oh yeah.
looking at what you were doing, And so I think sometimes you got to look at those things. So just understand that I think there's a lot going on in the world today with things. It's just, it's for the good, I think, for good and bad.
Yeah.
But I think a reason we're seeing things that are so bad is there's a lot of things that are in the forefront that are good that the enemy's like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I got to figure out something.
Well, and to your point, we're going to, by the way, some of you may be wondering, where's Brady? He is tied up with several big projects right now. Yeah. Sorry, we should have done that from the beginning. And I'm not convinced, as Adam's not either, that the reason we have so much success on this is because of Brady's knowledge. We're just two dudes who like to talk. He gives us the real stuff.
Which is funny because he is the most, I mean, that's why you guys have always worked. You're the out front. He's behind. He's the operations. You're the marketing. It's like it's the yin and yang. It's just, but yes. So
yeah. So he is still part of the Higher Up podcast. Just so everyone knows, been dealing with a lot of big projects right now. And you're like, well, it's coming up on summer. Yeah, we have a lot of big projects we're working on right now. So he is going to get kicked back up with us again. Episode 26 we'd already filmed. It will really be 27. He will be on there, and then we'll just continue out. So get season 3 going. But yeah, he is there. But just here's some things that if we can't give you anything else, remember, you're going to go through trials. You're going to go through obstacles. You're going to go through opportunities. Bear down. Sometimes don't give up hope. Don't get lazy. I have been I have been very, very lazy probably prior to 2025 of just like, oh man, here we go. Do I really got to do? Nope, it's go time. We got to get this done. But moving forward, we want to give you some encouragement. What we're doing is you will see on Higher Up Podcast YouTube channel coming up. We do a monthly prayer call. Okay. And it's designed that we're live. We'll be live on there every month. I think it's the third Thursday of every month. But submit prayer requests to us, because sometimes people put them anonymous. Sometimes people put their name. It doesn't matter to us. If you want people to know, we'll just mention your first name and like last name, first initial. But if you want it to be anonymous, it can be anonymous. We pray over those requests. We have people from all over the world that dial into this call. Also, if you're in ServPro business and you're listening to this right now, at ServPro National Convention, which is I think it's the first full week of July, Tuesday morning at 7 a.m.
I think it's second week. It's not, because it's not the 4th, is it? Anyways.
Yeah, I forget the dates, but I think it's like the 7th through the 10th or something. Yeah. Whatever that Tuesday is of that week, we will have a prayer gathering at ServPro National Convention. Last year we had no promotion to it at all, and I think there was 145 people in the room. This year is going to be unlike anything we've ever done. We want everyone to come feel encouraged. Maybe you have a need that you want to submit ahead of time. We have 3 testimonies that are going to be shared about how the Lord's done great in someone's life. I am one of them, along with some positive momentum that we can help just encourage you to move forward. So just know that's coming up. We will be doing that, and our goal, if we can pull this off, we're going to try to live stream it from the room. So we will see how that goes. If you're on Higher Up Podcast, again, YouTube, check us out. Just remember, I think it's it's actually July the 8th is the Tuesday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. It will be up there for you to watch on the live view for after, so no big deal. But that's just some good things we got coming up, some encouraging things. Adam, I'm no like you. Today has been a ramble session, but we hope that you've gotten something out of it, and that something is, what is your why? Yeah. What is your why? How can you go through obstacles, go through challenges, turn them into opportunities? Because look, the Lord wants us to know Him, love Him in the highs and in the lows, including the valleys. So our encouragement to you is you can do it. Don't get discouraged. As always, you can check us out on any kind of social platform you want. But go out there and choose to live a higher up life. See you soon.